takes, that's you. 3 takes, not me. 2 takes if you lucky. First take, stop me. 4 takes, that's you. 3 takes, not me. 2 takes if you lucky. First take, you got me.
Yo, what's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Cobb and Dash Show. We missed last week, but we were on the week prior, I believe. We had week 7 preview, not week 8 preview. But yeah, we're back. I don't know if you guys noticed, Cobb's got a new headshot for the thumbnail for the league. There you go with sad times, because that first one that came to us in 2016.
Yeah.
Wow, rest in peace. But 8 years of that thing.
8 years, and no longer 21, unfortunately. But
oh man, yeah, you were 21 in that picture.
Yeah, had it on my LinkedIn, had it in my work accounts, and it was overdue for a change.
End of an era, that's for sure. Some good times with that old Cobb. And we've also had some good times with those photos. I mean, I don't know if you guys don't know this, but that was a whole photo shoot that Cobb had, like 12 photos, I believe. And Cobb sent me the entire, for some reason, he sent me, I asked for it and he sent it to me. He sent me the entire handbook of headshots that he had from that day. Every angle you want, it was in that email.
Yeah. If anyone else wants it, let me know. It's from my first day on the job after college. So it's good stuff.
Is that the only angle they got of your the headshot that you took yesterday?
Yeah.
That's the only angle?
I would have sent you more. Don't worry.
It's not bad. Yeah, my only thing would be it's kind of like the shoulders cut off right here. I like both shoulders. I'm a both shoulder kind of guy.
There was like a 2-second thing at the conference I was at. The guy had me sit down, took it, and said, "Get out."
Pretty good though. They did a good job. I'll say, yeah. I thought it was very good. But all right, guys. So obviously a lot has changed over the last few weeks. In this league, Tasia, Alex were in the playoffs. Now they're looking on the way out, looking in. I was out of the playoffs, but my team is surging big time. Yaglu, not bad. It's looking all right. Lost last week. It's the low score of the week. Stu has just continued to maintain that pace that he's been on all year, and especially when that trade that you did with him. I mean, it's really going to keep him in the one spot probably, potentially, maybe the whole year, honestly. But yeah, I mean, lots of movement over the last few weeks. You've maintained the 12 spot again, so really not a lot of movement going on down there. But what are your takeaways from someone who's got, you don't really have a dog in this fight? Let's just say you're done. You're done. What are you noticing from the top, from the whole league in the top spots?
Yeah. Well, the first thing I noticed is as soon as there's some good karma that happened with Yags kind of going a little scorched earth against me. I had to unfortunately come out against him, and then he gets low score. I mean, I'll hold back a little bit. I don't want to see that to the guy. I think he's understands. I meant nothing personal by my comments in the early season, but yeah, just be a little careful there coming at one of the hosts on the show, because we do have some power here. But yeah, I think it's been pretty consistent at the top 2 spots with Stu and Yags, but seeing you and ZT really start to surge and come online and really start to make the people that thought they had buys locked look over the shoulder a little bit. And then there's also like starting to get a little bit more of it's still kind of cluttered from the 3 to the even 8 spot, 9 spot, but I think you two surging is big, and then one preseason favorite, early season favorite, Tasia, with that 6-game losing streak that everyone thought was going to be a shoo-in for a playoff spot, along with myself, honestly, looking pretty rough.
So this week, I got a text from Jack who want to know about our dropping players rule. And I told him if you draft the guy within rounds 1 through 9, he'll go to be a 10th round tender. You drafted a guy from 10 to 20 or 10 through 19 to become a 19th round tender. And he's like, okay. He dropped Stephon Diggs. And I got to say, he's a free agent next year in the NFL. He could go to a contending team. He could be a guy somewhere. And I saw you picked him up, so it's a pretty solid pickup. I don't know if you're going to keep him. But depending on where he goes, he could be something. I mean, torn ACL is tough for a guy his age, but nonetheless, not a bad pickup.
Yeah, Jonathan Brooks was coming off the IR, and now it's just I just put Diggs in the IR spot now, so kind of a free tester, see where it goes. I don't really expect too much, but you never know.
No, you never know. Especially, you could go to plenty of teams in the offseason. I can see him going to the Chiefs, but who knows what happens with that situation? Because I mean, and there's not really a top guy in that offense anymore. As I've had to learn the hard way this year. Well, Hollywood Brown got hurt, so we never really got to see what that looked like. But okay, so we're gonna go with a quick takeaway from last week before we head to the Week 9 prediction. My quick takeaway from last week is we're starting to see kind of a 4-1 range, a kind of a takeoff from like the teams that are probably going to make the playoffs to the teams that are probably much fighting for those last spots. And I have to say, I think 5 and 6 are kind of in a dead heat. I think 4 through 1 pretty much have locks. I'll knock on wood on that. But I think 4 through 1, those teams, I don't know what the order is going to be like. It seems like Stu's going to run away with the number 1 spot. But as far as the 2 to 4, I think we got locks from those teams making the playoffs. That's my honest opinion. And then 5 and 6, I think that's where you have 5, 6, and then 7, 8 is going to be 8 Hotch is out, I think. But I think 5 through 7 is the teams that you don't. Either one of those, any of those teams can make the playoffs from that spot there. You see ZB's team, won the high score this week, and that team's starting to look good. They put up a pretty good number last night with Devontae Adams coming on with the New York, and he changed his team name to the New York Zackers with the Jets logo. Fantastic. So I could see him making the playoffs, and I think this would be pretty special for this league to have 2 teams in their second year make the playoffs. You've seen ZB and Yaglu, the rookie class of 2023. Those guys, man, they I really do. I said it last year, it was a special group, and I'm sticking by that. I mean, those 2 guys really have like outdone themselves. I mean, like look at these 2 dudes. I mean, those guys like they came out strong. They had a good showing at the draft, post-draft festivities. They were all about it. We had ZB flying in from Los Angeles. Yaglu coming up from a FXA soccer game and coming to the draft and doing what they did, and they took a good class photo after the draft together. And I think right now we're starting to see that pay off in the year 2024.
Yeah, agreed. It's funny how kind of wrong the preseason rankings looked for this. I mean, if it wasn't for Alex being a little bit of points ahead of ZB, the top 3 predicted teams, which I think across the board were me, Tasia, and Alex, would be on the outside looking in. Not that Tasia and I really are looking into anything. But yeah, it's just kind of how crazy this season has been. I'm really liking the playoff pool. I think it's exciting for a lot of owners in here. There's a lot of good storylines across the board, I think. And I think that's what being someone that's not going to be in the playoffs, most likely going to be last place, is what I look for to keep my excitement for the league. So.
Yeah, they have 2 newcomers. I know we try to get. Sometimes when you take over teams, really shitty teams you're taking over, so it's tough to like win. But to have 2 new owners potentially making, these 2 guys making it just a year after taking over really shitty situations, I think that'd be awesome for the league, and also just to show that guys like Lil J, that look like these guys took over really shitty squads and they're making the playoffs. If they both can make the playoffs. So yeah, really rooting for Yaglu and ZB. Yeah. So, all right, now we're going to get to the Week 9 preview. Big week. Big week. We have some really hot matchups this week. I see some upsets. I think last time we were on here, I talked about upsets, and I think we might see some upset alert happening here this week, especially for 2 certain spots. But we're going to begin with our guy, Stu, versus the New York Zackers. Let's put this up on the big screen. Tell me when you can see this. How's that look?
Yeah, looks good.
All right. I'll let you do the honors, buddy.
Awesome. Yeah, thank you. This is exciting matchup. Well, like you alluded to, we have a lot of key matchups coming up. We're just talking about ZB being right there on the cusp of a playoff berth, and how his team's been looking. We're hoping to see him there, but he does unfortunately have to go against Stu, a guy that's been on a roll and then made the trade with me. Kind of should have, most likely locked to buy, in my opinion, and a lot of people's opinion, for the playoffs. But with, like you mentioned, Devontae Adams getting off to a good start, it would have been key. I know why he didn't do it. Would have been key if he started Rodgers. Would have been super exciting. A lot more of an upset potential had he stuck to his ZB Stacker name, or New York Stackers, I guess. But going breakdown or matchup by matchup, we got Jaden Daniels against Sam Darnold. Really hard to choose. Again, I mean, Sam Darnold's been great. I think ZB was in a similar position last year where he would just get like waiver wire quarterbacks and it just panned out. Because I think last year he had Rodgers and this year he had Deshaun Watson. So for a guy that loses his quarterback early in the season, his first 2 years, he's bounced back. He's good at identifying good waiver wire pickups for quarterback. Unfortunately, he is going against Jaden Daniels. We saw, didn't really do too much against Chicago. Chicago does have a decent defense, and then obviously everyone saw that play at the end of the game that really helped Jaden Daniels' performance. But it's hard to pick against Jaden Daniels. I do like Darnold, but I just think Jaden Daniels, especially against the Giants, is the play. I think he had I think he had a rough game against the first time out when they played week 2. That was his lowest scoring outside of the injury week 7. But I'm not going to pick against Jaden Daniels with the rushing upside. Marvin Harrison Jr. making his debut for Stu. He's had him on the bench the last 2 weeks. He had a great last week, but I think Stu's seen what he needs to get him in the starting lineup now, kind of let him get warmed up with the squad. Going against DJ Moore, I'm going to go for sure MHJ there. One of those guys I would mention, like maybe I sold too early. Probably wouldn't be KK King had I kept my guys from that trade with Stu, but had to look to the future with how things were going. But yeah, give me MHJ there. James Cook versus Kyren Williams. That's an exciting matchup. We got Buffalo going against Miami. James Cook just went off again last week. And Kyren Williams has been eating the entire season, just getting touchdowns every week, which is, he did it at the end of the last season too. So give me Kyren Williams there. I think it's pretty close, but I'm going to lean Kyren Williams. Taysom Hill versus Evan Ingram. Give me Evan Ingram. I have no idea what's going on with the Saints right now. They're a mess, unless like maybe Taysom Hill gets some snaps at quarterback and like tosses a couple dimes on top of whatever Wildcat stuff they do. Could be key, but Evan Ingram has shown what I originally drafted him for. Unfortunately, did not get to reap the benefits of having him on my team this year. But he's been consistent in a position that's so hard to predict. That's a really good benefit for Stu. So give me Evan Ingram. Devontae Adams against Darnell Mooney. Probably would have leaned Adams going into the game. Now 100% going off the performance he had. I know he was evaluated for a concussion last night, I'm pretty sure. But it came out clean, ended up having a great game along with my guy, Garrett Wilson. So would have chosen Devontae Adams. This makes it a lot easier. James Conner against Alvin Kamara. I don't know. That's a pretty close one, in my opinion. Again, we just talked about the issues going on with the Saints on offense, but they are going against Carolina. Might be one where they just ride Alvin Kamara the whole game. They don't really need to do much else past that. We saw, again, I think Chicago's defense has been playing pretty well. James Conner's been pretty consistent, but I don't know. I'm close to a wash in that one, but I think I'm going to lean Kamara, unfortunately. And then we got Bijan Robinson against Michael Pittman. Michael Pittman does have Joe Flacco coming in to throw to him, so maybe that sees an uptick. I think Josh Downs is more Flacco's guy, but still anything's really better than Anthony Richardson at this point. But in the same vein, last 3 games, Bijan Robinson has shown why I took him at 1 overall. Of course, he's doing it a little later than I would have liked, which is just how this fucking goes. Pardon my language there, but give me Bijan Robinson in that matchup. So across the board, I think I had ZB winning 1 matchup there. To be fair, I don't think these are, other than like the Marvin Harrison. Even that, like, I don't think Stu is like by far ahead of ZB in all these matchups. So I do think it's going to be a close game. Unfortunately, I think Stu just has way too much firepower. And I think obviously had it been last week, this would have been matchup of the year, but based off of the points for standings. But give me Stu. Stu's going to keep it up. lock down that bye here pretty soon with I'm going to say 135 to 127 matchup. I think ZB is going to make Stu sweat a little bit, but I don't think he'll have enough firepower to keep up.
Yeah, I want to pick Stu here badly. I really do, just because he's already got the 1 seed locked up. It's done anyway, as far as the first 1 seed bye. But I gotta say, I looking at the matchups last night, Devontae Adams, because like ZB texted me and he was upset about Will Anderson going out of the game early, but he said at least McDonald went out of the game early, but he said bullshit that McDonald got the fumble recovery, the ball just fell into his lap, and they both were scratched early from the game, so that was kind of interesting. But I do think ZB pulls out a win here. I like Sam Darnold's matchup against Indianapolis. Indianapolis is not a good defense at all. The Giants. And I know, like, Giants don't have a great defense by any means. I mean, they should have had a much better defense than they do with Burns and Thibodeau. But, like, I will say it's a division matchup. Usually it's a division matchup game, especially Giants and Redskins are very, like – didn't they play? They played already this season. That was
that was Daniel's worst game outside of the injury.
So, I mean, like, that – I could definitely see that. And in a world – and especially Daniels isn't 100% yet. And I could see that in a world where Darnold – is playing against a bad defense. I could see that. And also, Darnold's got he's got his full weapons this week. He's got Addison, he's got Jefferson, and TJ Hawkinson comes back this week too. So that, like, when you have your safety valve tight end, that's going to keep things going as well. So I think Darnold wins that matchup, and I think because of that, I think I could see CB pulling this game out. And also Taysom Hill dominating Evan Ingram. I could see that as well. I mean, that quarterback situation right now without Carr. Now that Taysom Hill is finally back, I could see them utilizing him a little bit more. I mean, Rattler doesn't look good. Rattler looks rattled every week. But yeah, I can see Taysom Hill getting some snaps at quarterback, and I can see that being an interesting thing there. Pittman opens up the holes for Flacco, or Flacco opens it up for Pittman a little bit. I know he likes downs, but I could definitely see that. And I see a lot of matchups going to that Sunday night game for ZB. So I'm looking at a Sunday night comeback for ZB to win against Stu and an upset for the ages. And also, this is a huge game for ZB. I mean, this is a potential to get back in the playoff spot.
Huge. I like it. I like that pick.
Yeah. So that's I would say it was the game of the week, but there's a game that tops that. And that's the number 2 versus number 3 seed. That's ZB, or not ZB. This is Yaglu versus ZT. And we had ZT had a guy go in the game last night. But yeah, this is the 2 versus 3 spot. If ZT loses, ZT could be fighting for a 5, 6, 7 spot if he loses this game. So ZT really needs to win this game. Yaglu, he can afford to lose this game, but he doesn't really want to lose this game because you go from 6-1 to 6-2 to 6-3. Now you're fighting with everybody else in the 3 to 7 spot, and that's where you don't want to be in that kind of that whole game there. But yeah, let's dig in here. So Jordan Love is supposed to play against the Lions this week. He's supposed to play, but when you have a groin injury, that's something that you can be pulled out of the game at any point, and they like Malik Willis, so like they wouldn't be hesitant at all to pull him out, and if they see him like hurting like he was last week, and they can put Malik Willis in, and Malik Willis looked really good last week. Lamar Jackson versus Denver. Denver's got one of the best defenses in the league. Lamar Jackson, I don't believe he's practiced yet this week. Okay, he returned practice today. Okay. You're going against a tough defense with Denver. Denver's got a really good defense. I like Jordan, although he's injured. I like Jordan Love against Detroit more so than I like Lamar Jackson against Denver, especially he's hobbled and you're going against a good defense. Give me Jordan Love for this one, but both quarterbacks are very hobbled going into this game. Then we got Justin Jefferson versus Amon-Ra St. Brown against Green Bay. So we got a lot of NFC North games, huh? Give me Justin Jefferson, obviously. Amon-Ra gets Green Bay. Green Bay's solid defense. Jair Alexander's going to shut him down. And I just really have been impressed with Amon-Ra this year. He's got – think about Amon-Ra. He's very boomer bust. So, like, worst case, you got a 4. Best case, you got a 21. And, like, 21's not even the best boom anyway. I'm not a big fan. Jefferson is solid. He'll get you a 16 or a 25. That's what Jefferson does. There's no 7s. There's no 6s with Justin Jefferson. Jahmyr Gibbs, another NFC North game against Green Bay versus Derrick Henry in Denver. I don't know, man. Derrick Henry's been pretty solid this year. Jahmyr Gibbs has also been really solid this year. I tend to believe that Jahmyr Gibbs what the Lions are going to do is going to stick with the running game, which has been their bread and butter all year long. I think Denver's going to stymie the Ravens. I really do think so. So I'm going to go Jahmyr Gibbs on that one. Cole Kmet, Cade Otton. Baker's been going to him nonstop since Evans and Godwin have gone out. So I like Cade Otton in that one. Scary Terry, Brian Robinson. Give me Scary Terry in that one. Devontae Smith, Khalil Shakir. Give me Devontae Smith. Cedric Tillman and Travis Kelce. Gosh, ZT starting 2 tight ends, huh? I'll go Travis Kelce. The Tampa Bay's got a really bad secondary. No Levante David in that game, so that really helps out Travis Kelce. Man, this is pretty tight. Jeez. I'm gonna go. God, I think based on my matchups here, I think Yaglu pulls it out based on the matchups, right? So quarterback went to him, receiver went to him, running back went to him, tight end went to him, McLaurin went to him, Devontae Smith went to him. Yeah. It's a close game. I think Yaglu stays on at number 2 with the win here. I'm going to go 126. Now I'm going to go 136 to 130. Yaglu.
Yeah, I like that too. I was going to point out the Baltimore-Denver matchup as well. I think it's going to be kind of a grinder of a game. It's one of those upset alerts, I'd say, for Baltimore, just based off of how Denver's defense plays. And I feel like they're pretty set up to at least calm down. I mean, Lamar had a decent game last week, even though it seemed pretty quiet for his sake. But, yeah, give me Yags. Again, I talked to it earlier in the show. Yags and I had a little, let's call it a miscommunication. And unfortunately, I had to come on here and go against him. But I think I'm gonna peel back on that going forward. I didn't like seeing it, how immediately he wanted to go and be low scorer there. So I'm gonna go back. We're gonna be in each other's good graces. Lean Yags here, locking up another win and getting even closer to that second bye to join Stu, the guy that already has it locked up. So give me I'll say 132 to 126. I think it'll be a good game. I'm hoping the high scorer comes out of this game just because it would be more exciting to watch. But yeah, definitely game of the week for me.
I mean, call what it is. It's a beef. You and Yaglu have a beef going on right now. Just call what it is. Call what it is. No miscommunication. Call what it is, man. Yaglu's very upset. He thinks it's beef. If you're calling miscommunication, that's soft on you because he thinks it's beef that you guys got right now.
He's the guy that I was on his side, then I wasn't, and you got lowest score. I think we're good now.
So Roden comments here. We got a couple people live right now. David Roden, ZT's team feels powerful. Yes, it always feels powerful, Dave. That's one thing you got to get with ZT. His teams always feel powerful, but the product they show on the field, not so much.
It also ZT's teams usually start to show cracks, and starting 2 tight ends.
Yeah.
Like, is that really going to be a team? I mean, obviously Lamar, Amon-Ra, and Gibbs, fantastic guys that can win you each week. But, Detroit has a bad week. Lost. Leaning on 2 tight ends, I don't know, man. It kind of caps what could really be a top 2 team going forward. So that's the one flag I have right now.
Yeah, and then you also started Khalil Shakir on top of that. 2 tight ends and Khalil Shakir. I mean, I don't know how I feel about that. Because you're starting a Khalil Shakir who should be like a third flex, maybe not even startable, but you're starting him at your second flex because you're starting 2 tight ends. That's a pretty it's not a scary team. And I'll say this: if people want to shit on Cedric Tillman. I mean, Tillman looked like the guy last week, dude. I mean, Winston loved Tillman, and Tillman's stock's been raised big time since Mark Cooper's gone, and now Winston's in the lineup. I really like that start from him.
Yeah. Do you think we end up seeing a stack going forward with Lamar Jackson and Deontay Johnson?
Ooh, man. Probably, because, I mean, this team that I'm looking at here is not going to cut it. He's going to have to try it at some point. We've seen ZT start the stack of more Ravens before. We talked about in the group message the other day. He had Hollywood Brown and Mark Andrews at one point. What did that team do? How many playoff wins did that team get him? 0. So we've seen ZT fail with that before. So I'd like to see him fail with it again. But yeah, Roden goes ZT this week. Yeah, we gotta agree. We gotta disagree with you, buddy. We're going Yags all the way here, man.
We gotta get more owners on this show doing guest picks. I like Roden's involvement here.
Roden's fantastic. Roden watches the show, I think, more than anybody else. Him and ZB the only ones who text me about the show every week. I love those guys. Love those kids. All right, so we got our next matchup. Not the flashiest matchup, but you got the 4 through 7 game. This is 4 through 10 game. Myself versus Lil J. Take it away, buddy.
Yeah. So again, top of the show, we just talked about ZT being one of those surging teams, and yours is right there. Really, really coming together nicely. Lil J had this is his first full season. We were talking about that class, last year's class with ZB and Yags, and I think, this being Lil J's first full season under his belt, I think going forward he's going to be one of those owners we'll see starting to make a playoff push next year. I think this is just a learning year for him. He did get the win last week, which put him even more distance from being Pancake King. So great job there, avoiding that with how much he's had to kind of rebuild his team. Again, just an unfortunate timing of the matchup, I think, going against a team that's surging with your squad. But we'll go matchup by matchup. We got Kyler Murray going against Patrick Mahomes, which is interesting matchup. I think it's we're going away from the Bake Show because of the injuries to the wide receivers, I imagine, and also you don't want to be cheering against Baker going against the Chiefs. So that's actually a funny matchup for you. But give me, I don't know, Kyler Murray against Chicago. Again, Chicago's defense pretty solid. Mahomes against TB. Tampa Bay can't cover anything, so give me Mahomes. I think Kyler Murray, Chicago, again, outside of that Hail Mary for Jaden Daniels, they kind of shut him down for the whole game. Kyler Murray, I don't think is going to be a guy that changes that. And Mahomes is Mahomes. Hasn't been putting up the numbers that he had in years past, but I think it's starting to look good last week in Tampa Bay. Yeah, bad defense. So give me Mahomes there. Brian Thomas versus Keenan Allen is Thomas. I don't even know if Thomas is going to play. Says he's going to be a game time decision, which would be unfortunate. He's been the guy that, one of the rookie receivers that probably keeper potential for Lil J here going forward. Lawrence doesn't really have anyone else to throw to outside of Evan Ingram and what was it? Kirk? Who's out for the season on the Jags? Someone just went out. Is it Gabe Davis? Kirk? Was it Christian Kirk?
It's Kirk. It was Kirk.
Yeah. So should be more targets than for Brian Thomas, but again, we'll see if he plays. If he does play, I'd probably lean him over Keenan Allen. Keenan Allen keeps getting good targets. It's just I don't know. It's just a little more variability coming from that Chicago offense and all the mouths that they have to feed within that offense. Going against Arizona, I don't really think that's going to be a high-scoring game by any means. But I'll lean Brian Thomas if he plays. If he doesn't play, I am going to lean. Yeah, I'm going to lean Keenan Allen with whoever Lil J can even find to put in there because he does not have a lot of options this week with a lot of people on bye. Then we get Devon Achane against Josh Jacobs. Josh Jacobs has been great, pretty consistent going this season. A guy that I didn't really have on my radar for someone I would draft. I know someone that you were interested in, and it's been a good find at the running back position. But Devon Achane just being with Tua coming back, I do think that he has a little bit of an edge over Jacobs. I'm interested to see how that Detroit game goes. The Packers-Detroit game goes. I think Green Bay is probably going to have to throw to keep up. I know you mentioned that you think that Detroit's going to lean on their running game. Even then, they can still throw up a bunch of points just doing that. So I think this is a close matchup. I lean Achane just because of the explosiveness, but Josh Jacobs is right there. It's close. It's super close to a wash. I might just be biased because I do have Achane in a dynasty league, so I'll give you that. Then we get the debut of TJ Hawkinson, which hopefully he's ready to go. I know they were trying to get him to play last week, but ended up not playing. Going against Tucker Kraft, Hawkinson's a guy you've been waiting all season for to come back, a guy that could immediately be a top 3 tight end, especially with how that offense looks with Darnold. And I have to imagine that having Hawkinson there is just going to improve that offense. It's more of is he going to be ramped up in time? Is he going to get the full starter snaps? is where I'm not 100% sure. So I'm going to lean Kraft there, honestly, just a little bit, just because I don't know if Hawkinson's going to get the full workload. That's about it. If it was next week, I'd probably flip it. Then we got Josh Downs against Dave Montgomery. Give me Dave Montgomery. That's an easy pick. I'm on the same boat where I think this is going to be a Gibbs and Montgomery game against Green Bay, and they're both awesome. And I mean, you're getting a 1B running back we saw what ZT invested with Gibbs. He kind of needed Gibbs to do that. This is just kind of a nice to have with Dave Montgomery with where he drafted him. Still producing. Josh Downs again has had his best games with Flacco behind center. Minnesota's defense isn't the best, but I just feel more comfortable with David Montgomery. Joe Mixon against Mark Andrews, another two teams starting two tight ends. Oh man. I probably would have chosen Joe Mixon. I mean, he looks reinvigorated behind that offensive line for a team that's struggling on offense with the Houston Texans. I know they have their wide receivers are a little bit of a mess right now with Diggs now out for the season and Nico being hurt. Mixon's been killing it. Whenever he's healthy, like this has been one of the biggest surprises for me. I thought he would be good, but not like 20 points consistently good. And for how bad they looked last night, for him still to put up those numbers, fantastic. Great find there again. Would have leaned Joe Mixon there. Anyways, Mark Andrews has been coming online a little bit, but I do think that Denver game's going to be a little grungy. Would not have picked Mark Andrews over Joe Mixon anyways. And then we got Kareem Hunt against Elijah Moore. Give me Kareem Hunt, a guy that I traded away for a 9th round pick. You know, some say I was doing some favors. You know, I know Dash Chiefs fans. Same with Tyrone Tracy. I know Adam was a big fan with him being from Purdue. That's what happens. You come to me, I'll give you some fair deals. I'll play into guys you like, give you some good deals there. So if anyone wants to send my office, just keep that in mind. But give me Kareem Hunt there pretty easily. He's looked great. And again, Tampa Bay, I think this is going to be one where like the Chiefs are going to keep getting the lead and then just keep running the ball to protect that lead. So I think, both ways you look at it with Mahomes and Kareem Hunt, they should both have a really good game going forward and going forward as well. So yeah, I guess, it was a little closer than you might have expected matchup wise. But I think I'm going to go Dash here. I think it's going to keep the ball rolling. I think Lil J just has a little bit more question marks with those end of the bench pieces, starting 2 tight ends, and if Brian Thomas even plays. So I do like some of his matchups this week, but just not enough to top Dash over there. I'm going to go with a 131 to 116 in favor of you.
Yeah, I'll say, I think I put up a good chunk of points this week. I think this will be Mahomes' breakout week. Tampa Bay's defense is so bad. On my show this week, we did a whole thing about how bad this defense is. So Tampa Bay is 28th in opponents' points per game, averaging 26.6 against the Buccaneers defense. They're 30th in yards per game allowed, 387. 29th in yards per play, 6 yards per play. 27th in opponent touchdowns per game, 3. On top of that, the defense is getting off the field on 4th down at an awful rate. 72.2% of teams are converting 4th downs against them. So this is also another interesting stat. So during the Buccaneers 1-3 stretch over the last 4 weeks, the Bucs are the highest scoring offense in the NFL, averaging 34.5 points per game, but still not enough to overcome the defensive problems. No other teams in the top 19 in average scoring weeks 5 through 8 have a losing record in that span. Besides them. It's crazy, dude. And I think D-Hop will be more part of the offense this week. We saw what D-Hop did in the few plays he had. In the few snaps that D-Hop had, he had more than than half his performances this year in Tennessee, which is just wild. So he'll only get better in the offense. It's just a bad defense. No Levante David, like I said. I think I've been waiting for Mahomes' performance, and even if I wasn't thinking they had a bad defense, I thought our defense is so good. I don't think Baker was going to have a good game against us. Forget Godwin, forget Evans. I probably wouldn't have started him either way because our defense is just one of the best defenses in the league, if not the best defense in the league. So I wouldn't have started Baker against the Chiefs. So yeah. I think Mahomes is a big blow up spot on Monday night, and I think Kareem Hunt gets me at least a 12 to 15. You got to say, if you look at that trade that we did, I've been on my winning streak since that trade, and so that tells you a lot about that. It's key.
I was gonna say, other than Roden, who's on the 9 spot, he could sneak in, but all 3 of the teams that made trades with are in the playoff spots.
Yeah, I'd say probably my trade with you is probably the least like impactful. If you just look at Kareem Hunt for a 9th round pick, I mean, you traded like good players to these other guys. I mean, Kareem Hunt was the guy you just picked up.
Because Alex dropped him. So
yeah, Tyrone Tracy, that's actually not a bad deal for Adam. I mean, with Kareem Hunt, probably not a keeper, but Tyrone Tracy's got potential to be a keeper. I mean, they've literally given him the keys to the kingdom with Devin Singletary even being active. But yeah, I think Hockenson, the reason why they didn't play him last week was because they want him to come out 100% in this coming week. So right away when he was active this week, he got tight end 1 reps and snaps during practice. So I do think, and I'll say this, I've usually been one of those guys who kind of punts tight ends in our drafts. And this year I was able to not only get a tight end 1 like TJ Hockenson later on in the draft, but I also managed to get Dallas Goedert and Hunter Henry. I was able to like kind of ride the wave to get to TJ Hockenson, which I was kind of scared a little bit during the season, but Hunter Henry came on. I don't know how he's going to be with the Brissett. I don't really trust Brissett with Hunter Henry. Drake May loved Henry, which was great. Goddard's been injured, but Hockenson, I'm really excited to see what he can do because I mean, when you see Hockenson at his best, he's a tight end 1, like arguably. So yeah, I think this week A-Chain scares me a little bit, but it's against Buffalo's defense. That's pretty much it in his team. I'm not really scared of anybody else on his team. I think I win this game pretty handily, and I think I'm up there again with the high score of the week. We're gonna go down on Monday night. Me texting the group message. It's coming, boys, with the eyes emoji. So yeah, I think I win this pretty handily. But yeah, I'll say Jack has managed his team pretty well, considering all the injuries he had and considering the amount of draft picks that Paul traded away. So yeah. All right. So now we get to our next matchup, and this is. Oh, yeah, this is good. This is Alex, I believe. Is that our next one?
I think you need to do Adam.
Oh, yeah, Adam. Sorry. Adam versus our guy Dave with the chat. All right, so we got Cousins against Dallas versus Josh Allen against Miami. Josh Allen against Miami. I don't even have to look at that one. That's Josh Allen all day. Just no interceptions this year. I mean, he's been playing really well. He's been solid, man. And as Cooper starts to get along with the offense, I think it's only going to get better. And we saw Miami last week. They looked like they couldn't stop anything in that second half of that game against Arizona. AJ Brown, Malik Neighbors, man, this is a tough one. I'm probably going to go wash here, to be quite honest with you. AJ Brown looked great last week with Hurts kind of just throwing him on every play. Neighbors is Studley, and I think didn't Neighbors have like his big breakout weekend against Washington? Yeah. His first breakout week was against them.
Dude, oh my God.
That's crazy. I mean, if he has a game like that, but no wash. I'm going to go with Malik Neighbors in this one. No, Malik Neighbors. So 2 for 2 for our guy Dave. Dave's coming on, and we'll see later on. We do Pancake King rankings. He may not be there. Kenneth Walker. Oh, by the way, let's just talk about this is a huge game because if Dave wins this game, he goes to 4-5. If Adam loses this game, he goes to 4-5, and then we have a battle from 9th to freaking to all the way up to the 5th spot. So this is a huge game from many accounts here. Some say this is the game for the 7th spot or the 6th spot in this week's Pancake rankings. But Kenneth Walker against the Rams, DeAndre Swift against the Cardinals. DeAndre Swift saved the Bears, almost saved the Bears last week. Kenneth Walker's been solid this year for Adam. Bad week last week, but man, I'm gonna go wash him, man. Swift's really come on recently. I'm gonna go wash between those two. Kyle Pitts and Njoku. Njoku did get some love last week with Winston in there. Although I think that was Kyle Pitts' best game last week ever. So I'm gonna go wash just because I think Njoku's going to start to become revitalized with Winston and Pitts. I can't trust Kyle Pitts at all. Drake London, Chuba Hubbard. Now let me ask you, Cobb, is this guy Brooks playing this week? I don't have any Carolina Panthers in any of my teams.
Brooks he has a projection, so I think they're thinking he's coming back this week.
That sucks for Dave. Drake London, you can't trust him either, dude. I've never been a Drake London fan. I'm going to go Drake London just for the fact that Chuba Hubbard, his big thing's been volume, and if Brooks comes back, that volume cuts in half, and it's just not good. But He's playing against the Saints run D, which is one of the worst in the league. So that definitely bodes well for him. But I'll go slight to Drake London. Tony Pollard, Zay Flowers. Zay Flowers has Deontay Johnson there now. It's going to take away some targets from him. Tony Pollard's been actually really good this year. So I'm going to go Tony Pollard against or over Zay Flowers. Chase Brown, who's come along a little bit, versus Puka Nacua. I got to go Puka. I mean, Puka's first game back, Stafford just goes this guy 9 times last week. I mean, that's crazy. So I'm going to go Puka here. It's pretty simple to me. If you just do the math here, Cobb, just a normal math on this thing, this is Roden with a runaway. This is Roden telling everybody, I'm back. A lot of people wrote me off. Dash tried to write me off, say, oh, he's competing. Like, he loves the guy, but I have him bottom 3 every week. Well, no, I think Dave is going to make a statement here this week. He's going to let the rest of the league know that he is in the playoffs this year. He's not Hodges farm system. He's actually, he's the guy this year, and I think he's playing for a playoff spot. I think Dave makes a big statement this week. I think Dave is in contention for the high score of the week. So give me Dave 142 to 120, 142 to 120.
I like it. The big question mark with Dave, at least in the early season, was does he have enough star power to get him some wins? And listen, his team's coming together nicely. You mentioned Allen. Obviously, Malik Neighbors is a stud. DeAndre Swift's resurgence, and actually, he looked like the worst running back in the league and is now turning it on with how the Bears are doing, and they're looking better. Zay Flowers, a really consistent bench guy or a last flex guy, even against Denver, should get peppered with targets, even though Deontay Johnson's there. And then he still has Nico Collins coming back. So that team, Chuba, maybe he kind of gets demoted back to the bench. But when he has Nico, Zay, Puka, Neighbors, that's fantastic. And I'm sure he was shaking a little bit when he saw the injury report with Puka hurting his knee at practice, but not considered serious at least. And this was, awesome to see Dave in a position like he is. He made the trade for Zay, hoping that he could make a late push for that one of those last playoff spots. And yeah, he wins this week. I have him too. I have him win this week and potentially sneaking to the playoffs here soon. So yeah, give me Dave. I think projection was a little high for me, but I'll do a 135 to a 125. Go Dave.
Yeah, this is a big statement game for Dave. I didn't realize that it's really only a game out. So if he wins that game, that could be also be arguably a game of the week as well.
As far as what's on the line, 100%.
Yeah.
Some low projections this week from Yahoo. It's weird.
The whole year it's been like that. They try to overcompensate for the first few weeks of all the scores being low. They try to overcompensate, and every game's been like that. Every matchup's been like that ever since. Yeah. All right, so you got Alex versus Tasia here, man. Another Family Matters matchup.
Yeah, this is it's sad because this should have been game of the week. This would have been game of the week, week 1, week 2. We had this circled on our calendar for when these two juggernauts were gonna be facing each other. Love Dave's involvement here. Yeah, we gotta get you on the show, Dave. Get you as a guest picker, and now especially with Alex, we're about to talk about him. Kind of been a no-show. Hasn't really. It's. He said he was back because he had a good team, and now his team's 4-4. Not really showing up. But yeah, let's get into the matchup itself. So, Tasia, again on a 6-game losing streak after how he started. This has to be brutal. I feel for the man. But he has to be happy with how CJ Stroud performed last night, only having 11 points. And a lot of people are starting to scratch their head. Was this a good keeper for Alex? Alex had been trading me QBs and getting kind of away with, I don't want to say robbery, but not being a guy that really focused on keeping QBs and saw how much relied on your QBs performing if you kept them. Stroud has not lived up to the hype. I know Nico's been hurt, now Diggs is out. We'll see how that works. But yeah, give me Hurts in this matchup. It's I don't even need to say anything with how CJ Stroud performed. I would have picked Jalen Hurts anyways, and now he's going against Jacksonville, who makes every single quarterback look like a QB1 of the week. That's a tough hill to climb right there coming out the gate. So give me Hurts there. Sutton against Cooper Kupp. I'm going to have to lean Cooper Kupp, but Sutton did just come off an 11 target game. He's been pretty okay at least. I imagine, what does he just have some? Yeah, he has some bye weeks, and then obviously the injury to Chris Godwin really hurt. I guess he doesn't have bye weeks. Never mind. He's just had a lot of injuries. Rashee Rice, Chris Godwin, ETN's losing snaps. Poor guy. But give me Kupp in that matchup. Breece Hall against Aaron Jones. Probably would have leaned Breece Hall before last night's matchup. I think it's still pretty close, but because Breece only got a 10, I was probably going to have it as a wash potentially. I'll lean Aaron Jones a little bit there, but not by much. I know you were saying Indy's defense pretty bad. Then it might just be one where they just throw all over them. Give me Aaron Jones there. Trey McBride against Jake Ferguson. Give me Trey McBride. Looked great last week. And I mean, the last couple of weeks, he's hopefully coming on and showing why, he was one of those. I think this is a guy that Tasia kept and why he's seen as one of the better tight ends going forward. We got Tyreek Hill against Saquon Barkley. This is a great matchup now that Tua's back. Hopefully Tyreek Hill can get back to what he was supposed to be. Saquon has obviously been a great pick. He's had some two of the last 3 weeks haven't been exactly what Alex would have wanted, but they're going against Jacksonville now. So I think he's going to have a great game. I'm probably going to say Saquon here by a little bit. Then we got Jonathan Taylor against Jayden Reed. Give me Jonathan Taylor just based off of the known touches. And I guess every game he's played, he's looked great. But Jayden Reed, again, we'll see. Love is supposed to play, but there's just so many mouths to feed on Green Bay. It's kind of hard to predict who's going to be the guy for that week. And then we got Tank Bigsby against J.K. Dobbins. Give me J.K. Dobbins. Philly, Jacksonville's going to have to throw a lot. It's just a rough matchup. And J.K. Dobbins is one of those other guys that I didn't really think about. And he's been coming on really strong, at least for a last flex guy. So at least a little more consistency on that end. So I'm leaning Dobbins there. So I did, kind of looking back, I did pick Alex for quite a few of these matchups, but I think that QB matchup is the big one. And having an 11 from Stroud on a week where Jalen Hurts is playing Jacksonville, that's tough. Tasia, we're saying 6-game skid. He's had awful injury luck. Even not even directly to his players. Tyreek Hill had Tua go out. So it's terrible. But I do think this is one where he finally gets that win that he's been searching for the last 6 weeks. And against a opponent that, again, we're talking about a lot of 4 and 5 teams potentially after this week. So I think that's exactly what happens. Then Tasia's only 1 game behind those 4 or 5 teams. Let's spice things up for those last few spots. Give me Tasia here. I'm going to go 125 to 116.
Yeah, I have to agree with you. I think it is upset. This is an upset kind of weekend. We see these a couple times a year. Or there's the whole league just goes crazy with a bunch of upsets, and you got everyone kind of get within one game of each other. But yeah, just looking at this, I do think that Jalen Hurts and Stroud point disparity is going to be a very big deal in this one. Because let's say Hurts gets a 30, that's a 19-point difference right there. So that means Alex has to find 19 points. And I'm looking at this. I really can't find 19 points here, man. Tank Bigsby's been solid. He looks like the guy that Hodge drafted in the second round last year. The guy that Hodge thought was going to be the guy 2 years ago. This is what Tank Bigsby has become. Jayden Reed's been solid. Tyreek Hill has got Tua back. Buffalo, they're going to be playing their asses off. Miami's playing for potentially a wild card spot right now. They keep losing. They might not even make the playoffs, and they're going to have to find ways to win. I think they're going to try to get the ball to Tyreek as much as possible. Yeah, the only matchup I don't like for Tasia is just I don't trust Courtland Sutton. He's just I don't trust him. I know he had a lot of targets last week, but the week before he had nothing. I think he had a 0 in a game he played in. But yeah, I think Tasia pulls this one out. I think the quarterback matchup is going to be the big one here. And I got to give kudos to Tasia. Consider the amount of injuries he's had. If I had the amount of injuries he had, my team would not be looking like this right now. That's a pretty solid team for a team that's had a lot of injuries. But yeah, I think like what you said, I think Tasia wins, but it's kind of a grinder kind of game. We're swiping right on this thing in a grind. Man, we're gonna go Tasia winning this one, 124 to Alex's 116. Yeah, Alex just doesn't do it for me, man. There's a couple times you mentioned with ZT. These are two specific guys, very similar. If you look at their career trajectories, not the same. It's just a lot of this. Like, there's not a lot of this, it's a lot of that. And yeah, I think this is around the time where Alex becomes who he is. It's around the time where Alex stops coming on the show. And this is what we're seeing right now. Alex is out. And Tasia moves back in. Unfortunately, with his injuries, we're not going to see Godwin this year. We're not going to see Rashee Rice this year. And so it sucks because it's not like, oh, he's playing, he's got to weather the storm until those guys get back. They're not coming back, which really sucks for Tasia. But yeah, I think Tasia wins this one and makes it interesting. All right. I think we have one more matchup left.
Yeah.
It's your matchup.
Yep.
Perfect. Yeah, we got it right. There you go. Oh, yeah. This is a guy who wants to tank. Hotch, who is 4-4, was not expected to be where he was in the rankings. So I think he's hoping to lose this week. Also giving you a chance to get out of this pancake spot, but we'll see. So Hotch versus Cobb. Just a couple years ago, this was a championship game. And now this team is the perennial pancake king versus the guy who's trying to tank right now with a really team that's not going anywhere anytime soon, I don't think. And I don't even think next year. Hotch doesn't strike me as a team that I'll be worried about next year either. But that's a next year problem. Just felt compelled to say that. But Caleb Williams against Arizona versus Joe Burrow against the Raiders. Give me Joe Burrow all day, every day. Jalen Waddle against Buffalo. Garrett Wilson versus Houston. Garrett Wilson. Waddle's not going to touch the 27. Roschon Johnson versus Rhamondre Stevenson. I mean, this is a guy that Hotch beat me a couple weeks back, and I saw last week he started Trey Benson, and who got a 0 against somebody else like the following week. And I'm like, what the fuck? This guy just come to play against me. So obnoxious. But give me Rhamondre against Roschon Johnson. Brock Bowers, Sam Laporta. Sam Laporta looked like Sam Laporta last week, so that has to be that has to make you a little bit happy going forward. I think you're probably going to be keeping him going forward. But Brock Bowers, solid. Thinking about this a lot. I think I'm going to go Sam Laporta in this game. It's going to be a run and gun kind of game, but a run and gun meaning they're going to run the ball and they're going to pass their tight ends. It's going to be Sam Laporta in this one. Jamar Chase, Demario Douglas, Jamar Chase. Yeah. CeeDee Lamb, Bucky Irving, CeeDee Lamb, Romeo Odunze versus Olave. How's Olave been doing? Ooh, 14 targets last week. Interesting. Yeah, I'll take Olave in this one. Yeah, this is pretty simple. This is pretty cut and dry and simple. This is Cobb wins this one pretty easily, I'll say. I'm going to go Cobb wins this one. I don't like 124. I like 120. Like 120 to 102. Cobby wins this one.
Yeah. I think the projection's a little high as well. This is one that I'm hoping I win. This was one that had Jack not won last week, I would have been pretty excited about, because then I might have been a chance that I just somehow don't end up as Pancake King either. Also another chance of where I'm like, did I sell a little early? Not that I would have made the playoffs, but I would have beaten Adam, and then I probably would beat Hotch here. Would have the chance of being at whatever that 3-6 is, and with how teams could look, like I could have made a push, but again, that's a lot of hindsight and probably things that wouldn't pan out based off of how the season's going. I'm hoping this is the one I win. This is just two teams that are tanking. Not really exciting based off of where we were just, 3 years ago. Like you mentioned, the two teams are kind of shells of themselves. So just kind of focusing going forward. We'll see. I have myself winning. Yeah, I'm going to say 116 to 107. Something like that.
I'm also saying some comments from Tasia. We got another owner in. Also, if it's a Hurts week, then most likely not a Saquon week. Pretty good logic. Logic. And you saw last week. I mean, they were doing the QB sneaks with Hurts with the touchdowns, and this was easily gone to Saquon, but the Hurts is taking them. Good for Hurts. Broncos will have to throw 40 times versus Baltimore. Yeah, I don't know. Unless that game is like a 10-16 kind of game, I see it being more like a kind of a gritty kind of game like that. But we shall see. All right, so now we're gonna get to the nitty gritty here. The time where we have 15 minutes before we get out of here. It's Pancake King time, and that is brought to you by our friends over at IHOP. I mean, guys, I've been telling you all year long that from September 30th to Thanksgiving is pumpkin pancake time, and there's only one place that does it right. There's only one place that does it at all, and that's IHOP, the home of the stack, and we like stacks here at the BL Plus. So please go to IHOP and get yourself a pancake stack. Make it pumpkin pancakes, please. All right, so now Cobb and I are going to quickly go over our 7 through 12, starting with our 7th spot, getting all the way down to our Pancake King, and I think everyone knows who that is. And then we'll finish off the episode with Barry's Motivational Squeeze, where we give advice to one owner. So we got 14 minutes to do all that. So, all right, let's begin with our 7th spot. So this is a team that's looking on the outside, looking in the playoffs. And I got to go to ZT, man. I know he's in the playoffs right now. I know he's at 3rd spot. I have to do it. When you're starting 2 tight ends and you're starting Khalil Shakir in the same week, it's got to be time for that. ZT's team has not impressed me at all. Lamar Jackson's already showing signs of wear and tear, and we're not even near the playoffs yet. This is not a good look. This is not a good look for our guy ZT. Amon-Ra St. Brown, his home run hitter. He's not really a home run hitter. He's either going to get you 1 for 4 with the home run, or he's going to go 0 for 4, maybe a couple walks in that game with Amon-Ra St. Brown. Jahmyr Gibbs splitting time with David Montgomery. A lot of people think David Montgomery's more talented back in that backfield. I'm not saying it, but a lot of people are saying it. I am saying it too, but there are other people besides me saying it. But yeah, I don't really trust ZT's team. I think there's going to be a few losses coming up here for him. I haven't really looked at his schedule. Let me quickly look at his schedule so I'm more right about this one. So he's got Yagler this week. I think Yagler's going to win. He's got Alex next week. Alex is going to be fighting and calling to get into the playoffs. He's got Adam the following week. So he's playing playoff teams. He's He's got Lil J week 12. He's got Stu. So of his next matchups, 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 of his 5 next matchups are playoff teams. So that smells to me like a recipe for disaster. And I think ZT's out of the playoffs. So I think right now he's my 7th spot.
Wow.
Who's your 7th spot?
Love the hot take there. Yeah, I'm interested to see what ZT says if he ends up watching this. I'm gonna go. You know what? I was debating between 2 people. One person that's in the playoffs, one person that is not in the playoffs, and I'm gonna go with the person that's currently in the playoffs. I'm gonna put Alex at my 7th spot. Based off of how Stroud's been doing, we'll see what he looks like with Nico. This is just a very middle of the road team. I think I'm seeing a lot of surges from teams around him that if I'm Alex, I'm looking over my shoulder. I'm wondering, like, what do I got to do? And maybe that's just with the running backs he chose. He went super running back heavy and kind of potentially caps his points per week since this is a PPR league. And yeah, I just think it's really stagnant. We have ZB around him. We were hyping up. And he has a week against Tasia. That's a team that has been on the 6-game losing streak, but looking pretty good going into the week. So, yeah, I have Alex.
I have Alex in my 8th spot. So you and I are pretty much on the same wavelength here. I have him in my 8th spot. You know, CJ Stroud, I think the scouting reports on him, he doesn't look like the same guy as he was last year. Alex was banking a lot on the stack. I stacked it. We haven't even seen all year. I don't even think he started Tank Dell at all this season. Tank Dell's probably been one of the more productive guys in the last few weeks. I haven't seen him on his lineup. I thought he would change it last night, and Tank Dell went off for like 14 points. He outscored his quarterback in that game. But yeah, I don't like what Alex did. I just don't like his team. It's something about his roster construction. It never pans out. Yeah, he can bring up his records in other leagues, but in this league, I don't see it panning out. I don't see it panning out. And like ZT, these are 2 guys who consistently fall apart right around this time of the year. And sorry to say, guys, 'tis the season for both these guys. And yeah, I think Alex outside looking in again. I think he loses this week. We'll definitely be on the outside looking in going forward. But yeah, not a good look for Alex and ZT.
Terrible. Going with my 8, this is one that I really hope makes a push to the playoffs. It is a rough climb up, but we were just hyping him up. He was in our chat just a little bit ago. He might still be there. I have Roden at my 8th spot. I love his starting lineup right now, especially when Nico comes back. Again, we just talked about Alex kind of capping his points for per week because he has so many running backs. I like Roden build a bunch of receivers that get tons of targets. So if this team like can start putting together like let's say back-to-back wins right now with how we think that the 5 and 6 spot starts to look after this week, could be some trouble. Could start stirring up some things. So, but for now, just based off where his record is, I'm gonna have to give him that 8.
Yeah, so you won't hear me talk about Roden in the Pancake King rankings because I have Roden as a top 6 team. I know his record may not reflect it right now, but we're talking strictly on teams that are solid, and that's the team that I think is solid. So yeah, I Roden, kudos to you, buddy. So yeah, my 9 spot here, I got Tasia. We mentioned it earlier. Tasia, for a team that is without Chris Godwin and Rashee Rice, he's putting up a really good. I mean, this squad, this would be a good team without those injuries. But imagine if you had those guys. Bad luck with Tyreek Hill. Breece Hall hasn't been we thought he was going to be at all this year. Tyreek, I thought, if he had to all year long, I think Tasia is maybe in the playoffs right now, or at least a game out of it. He wins this week, he can make himself be a part of the conversation. But right now, he's got to pull off wins because I need to see what Courtland Sutton can do. I need to see what these guys can do. I need to see Tyreek Hill can do with Tua being back. I need to see if Bigsby's going to be the guy going forward. This is just a 2-week mirage. But yeah, it's 9th, but Tasia has a shot to make the playoffs, man. It's a really long shot, but he's got a shot to make the playoffs. And the 2 guys I have ahead of him with ZT and Alex, yeah, they have bigger names in their team, but I'm not buying what they're selling, to be quite honest with you. So as of right now, I have it Tasia the 9th spot because I think it's gonna be a long way to get out of this 2 and 6 hole that he's in. But I would not be shocked at all.
Yeah, I have Tasia at 9 as well. It's purely because of record and all the injuries that he has, and like you said, the fact that he still has a team like this is scary, I would say, for other teams that still have to face him. So it's 6-game skid, brutal injury luck. It's a really unfortunate season for Tasia. That was a preseason favorite, but like you said, like he can be a part of the change with these standings if he beats Alex this week, and we could see a lot of or at least a really good battle going forward. So I'm hoping Tasia can pull it out.
So my 10th spot here is Lil J. We talked about it earlier. He was dealt a rough hand with Paul's team. Like no draft picks in this draft. But I you got to give credit. His first year of having a draft, he was able to come away with Brian Thomas Jr. He was able to bring in Josh Downs. So he's got a good young team going into next year with Achane, Downs, and Thomas Jr. I don't know if he's going to go with those guys, if he's going to keep them. But he's got a nice young core. I'm curious to see what he does with with the full offseason after having his own draft, his own guys. I really like what he put together. And quite frankly, man, like with 3 and 5 with the really shitty, with the shitty hand that he had with like a lot of no early draft picks, you got to give it to him. I'm not going to knock him. He's 10 spot right now, but it's a team where they can pull off wins here and there. And who are his wins this year? I want to see what teams he's beat. He beat, okay, that's not really saying much. No offense. He beat ZT. He beat a playoff team. So he beat ZT, he beat you, and he beat Hotch. So not bad wins right there. I was gonna say all 3 of those guys have won championships in the league. No, 2 of the 3 guys have won championships in this league because ZT never won one. But it's a playoff team right now. But yeah, I like where Jack's headed in the future. This is not a right now. I mean, I think we all knew it wasn't a right now year for him. So 10 is Jack for me.
Yeah, seems like we're gonna have a lot of consistency here. I also have Jack at 10. It's again, what I'm considering his first year in the league, it's one of those like learning experiences, and some guy that I think will get better just as the season goes on, and then once we go into the off season, you've heard on the show us hype him up just how he acted at the draft. So this is a guy like I can't wait to see where he has another full off season to prepare for next year. But I don't think he's really in danger of getting the Pancake King right now. So I'm going to keep him at 10.
Yeah, Jack's performance at the draft was A+, especially after the whole the draft board look. 11th spot, I have Hotch. It's a guy who wasn't even supposed to be sniffing the playoffs. The fact that he's 4-4 right now is still mind blowing. I mean, I'm looking at some of his wins. Like he beat Tasia by 0.52. Imagine if Tasia had that win, Tasia could, would still be in the playoffs right now with his team the way it is. Just like crazy how things happen for him, that they break his way, but things are starting to even out a little bit. I think he's also trying for it to even out. I don't think he doesn't want to be in the playoffs. But yeah, he lost 84-89 a couple weeks ago. He almost won an 84-89 game. He won an 89-81 game, the first game of the season. Just kind of wild that he's won some of the games he's won this year. But yeah, I think things are starting to even out a little bit for his team. It's not a good team. Caleb Williams has not looked good. Jalen Waddle has not looked good. And that was a guy he traded a pretty good amount to get. Brock Bowers panned out for him, so he's got a 4th round tight end. I guess that's good. CeeDee Lamb and Jim Marchese, solid. So he's got those guys. Looking forward to see what he does with the 3rd keeper spot, because I don't think he's going to keep Waddle, and I don't think he's going to keep Brock Bowers. That's just my opinion, but he's my 11th spot. I think this is where it's trending for him, and I think he's okay with that.
Yeah. Same here with Hodge at 11. Somehow, some way, managed to be 4-4. I'd be killing to have the matchups that he did this year. That's just how the schedule falls sometimes. I don't think it's something that I think he just wanted. I think he's happy that he got to make a statement that he had such a bad team and was still able to be in the playoff contention, and honestly probably make the playoffs had he actually had really wanted to. But yeah, I mean, team clearly tanking. I think, he'll just keep dropping. And if Jack and Tasia, and with Jack, Tasia, and Roden right below him, who I think are going to start getting some wins here, or at least hopefully Jack does, Hotch will be sitting nice and close to me at that 11th spot at the end of the year.
Yeah, breaking news from Roden. Justin Brooks unlikely to play this week for the Panthers. One more week of feeding Chubbs. There you go, Roden.
There you go.
We called it, Roden. Yeah, and that takes away that one edge that we give Adam with Drake London. Chuba takes that now with the volume there. So good stuff there, Dave. Dave, I didn't have you in my Pancake King rankings. That means I think you're a top 16, buddy. I think Kyle had you at 8. I think so.
For what? Yeah, at 8. Yeah.
Okay, so now we're getting to the Pancake King rankings, and I think we all know. I think we're staring at him in the face right now. But Pancake King rankings is up next.
You are the Pancake King, young and sweethearting fan of thieves. Ooh, see that boy, watch that taste, digging the Pancake King.
So our guy Ryan Cobb is the Pancake King. Will be the back-to-back Pancake King for the first time in BL Plus history. I think he knows that he's embraced it. He's traded everybody from his team. That was Ryan Cobb's Halloween costume. If you guys didn't get a chance to see it, it's not a good team, but he knows that. I mean, he's already paving the way for what could be next year. Garrett Wilson looks like he still could be the guy. I think it's a great one. Sam Laporte traded for a late round tight end, so he doesn't have to worry about tight end. And Bucky Irving, I think he's got a shot for Bucky Irving to be the guy, unless he wants to go Joe Burrow. He's got plenty of things to go with. He's got a lot of draft capital for next year. I'm looking forward to see what's going on for next year for him. But right now, Cobb needs to maybe try to get out of the Pancake King by winning a few games here and there with all the draft capital he's gotten. But Cobb is my you are my Pancake King.
Yeah, as you can see with this picture that we now incorporated, I'm very much the expected to be the back-to-back Pancake King. I've also very much talked about my goals to. I will be going to IHOP to bring back the Pancake King. I do not want to do McDonald's again based off of how I felt right after. Was so much worse than IHOP, and IHOP's a cooler place to hang out anyways. Or not cooler, but easier. But yeah, it's just a rough season. I mean, I had just weeks of guys not clicking at the same week. My points against is, I mean, the next closest is Tasia, and I'm still 40 points against more than him right now. I still see people like Stu in the 800s where I'm almost hitting the 1100. Yeah, not much else to say. Just another bad luck of the draw. I ended up trading all my guys away. I really do think that if I just stayed put, I would not be Pancake King. But that's where some strategy came in. I've already done it before. I did the McDonald's. I can do this stuff. I'll do it to get some good draft capital and really work to building for a successful 2025. And so I never have to be here again and see this picture.
I forgot I made this. I had to throw it in there. It's 1:00 now. Do you have to go?
I do. Yeah, I got
Okay.
out of the meeting. Yeah.
Do you want to do quickly? Who would be your Barry's motivational squeeze? Because I'll finish off with mine after this.
Yeah, motivational squeeze has to go to Tasia. Just 6 straight weeks of losing, especially with the team that you had and having injuries on top of that, cannot feel good. But the fact that you still had such a good draft that we are still picking you to win after all these injuries, after having that 6, like that just shows how good you drafted, how good your team really was, and it just happens. I mean, you're a fantasy football veteran, you know how it goes. But keep your head up. Let's get that win this week, and let's make that push for the playoffs, because you could be dangerous if that happens.
There you go. That was Ryan Cobb with his Bears motivational squeeze. I'll be on here to give my Bears motivational squeeze in a second. Cobb, have a good rest of your day, buddy.
Yeah, you too. Excited to hear the motivational squeeze after this meeting. So, see you
All right,
guys.
see you, buddy. All right, so without further ado, I'm going to go to my Bears motivational squeeze, and this is brought to you by Marcus Berry Fitness. They're one of the only personal trainers in the area who will work you and give you a nice catered fitness plan for you.
This is why you're fucking holding back, and I'm tired of it.
All right, so my Bears motivational squeeze is going to go to ZT, and I'm gonna, like I said it a few weeks ago, I'm going to continue to go to him until it is done, until the season's over. But ZT is a guy who is fighting for his playoff life right now. I know he's a 3 spot right now, but no one trusts his 3 spot. He's going to lose to Diaglo this week. He doesn't have a lot of home run hitters on his team. He's starting 2 tight ends with Khalil Shakir to second flex. No one's buying it. People are over it. People want him to rebuild. And I think this is kind of where we're going to have to take this thing. ZT needs to rebuild. He needs to rebuild now. And I think it's just over. Lamar Jackson, I think he needs to trade him, like I've been saying all along. And I'm looking at ZT right now. He's playing Yaglu this week. He loses that game. Let's take it to the full screen so you guys can see what I'm looking at. I'm not making this stuff up, guys. I'm being dead serious when I say that ZT's probably not going anywhere this year. And I'm being nice about it, to be quite honest with you. Okay, so ZT schedule in my Cobb era. So ZT right now is, where is he right now? God damn it. Sorry. Okay, so ZT is 5-3, third place right now. Not bad points before. But okay, so I already told you about his double tight end set's terrible. Khalil Shakir to second flex weak. But now let's go to his remaining game. So he's playing against a 2 spot. Next week he's playing against Alex, who's fighting for a playoff spot. The following week he's playing against Adam, who is fighting for a playoff spot. In the playoffs right now, but he's fighting for it. Will J, probably not fighting for a playoff spot, let's be honest. Cobb's IR spot. That's the number 1 seed in the league right now. So of his next game, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 4 of his 5 next games, pivotal games, may I say, are playoff teams he's got to go against. And let's look at some of his losses this year. So he lost to Lil J, not a playoff team. He lost to a playoff team. He beat 2 teams that are not making the playoffs. ZB, who's not in the playoffs currently. He lost to another playoff team. He beat Roden, who right now is not in the playoffs, and he beat Tage, who's right now in the playoffs. His 5 wins aren't impressive, guys. They're not impressive wins. They're against teams who are not in the playoffs currently. And the losses are against teams who are in the playoffs, and one of them who's not. But I mean, this is a guy who, he's a paper champion. He's got Lamar Jackson. He's had all these MVPs, and he's done nothing with it. Cobbler just left, Stu. Jesus just joined. Where's Cobb? He just left. He had a meeting at 1:00. Dash and Dash show, yeah. It's just a Dash show. But right now we're talking about Barry's motivational squeeze, and this is for ZT. And just looking at ZT. ZT's got a tough road ahead, man. 4 or 5 playoff teams he's got to go against. He's lost to every playoff team that he's faced this year. And I think he's going to lose again this week. Diaglu, he goes to 5-4. He loses the next week to Alex, 5-5. He loses the next week to Adam, 5-6. Maybe let's give him Lil J. He wins that game, 6-6. He loses to Cobb's IR spot to end the season now, 6-7. And so, and if he has to go to the last game to go against Cobb, 7-7. That's a team that's not making the playoffs. Sorry, 500 teams not making the playoffs this year. It ain't happening. Not on my watch, not on Stu's watch, not on Roden's watch, because you got hungry guys like Roden, whose team's coming together at the right time. That team's going to be tough to beat. And as he surges and other teams surge, I just don't see ZT doing anything. And I think ZT needs to take a good hard look at himself in the mirror after he loses this week to see what do I want to be? What does my team need to be in the future? And he could, he's not going to be a pancake king anymore, but he can at least tank just to get out of this whole mess and try to have a better draft pick for next year, because you're not going to keep Gibbs, the mid-round pick, again in the first round. So he needs to maybe think about what he's going to do after he loses to Yago this week. Does he, try to get a better draft pick for next year? Maybe you do that, because the team you have, when you're starting 2 tight ends and you're starting Khalil Shakir, that's not a team that's going anywhere anytime soon. So my advice, my Barry's motivational squeeze to ZT is to rebuild. That's my motivational squeeze. If you lose this week, just call it quits for the year. It's time to rebuild, as many people in the league have been telling you for a long time, including myself. But that does it for us, guys. We hope everyone enjoyed the show. We hope everyone has a really good week 9. I'll be rooting for a lot of you guys. I'll be rooting against some of you guys, but definitely rooting for a lot of you. But I love you guys, and we'll see you guys next time. Take it easy, everybody.